The king Janaka, the father of Ma Sita, was an enlightened being. But how could a king be enlightened? Doesn't a king have to engage in wars where people are killed? The sage Narada, a son of Lord Brahma himself, spent 100 years as a woman taking care of her family when he was struck by Maya. It's been 78 years since India got independence from the clutches of Britain. While we still recover from the colonial aftermath, let's talk about the never-ending human quest of attaining true freedom, aka Moksha, or liberation from the cycles of birth and death. This whole idea of enlightenment is a concept that is shrouded in mysticism that a lot of us barely understand. We only see people claiming that they had this experience, that experience and all. But what is enlightenment actually? What do enlightened beings look like or act like? In this regard, I would like to narrate two stories from our Purans that help us understand what enlightenment is and clear some misconceptions regarding it. Number 1. The story of King Janaka, father of Ma Sita. The King Janaka is described as a Jivan Mukta, meaning he is liberated while still being alive, and that too as a king. How is that even possible? As a matter of fact, Janaka being enlightened was surprising even during their own time, that the sage Vyasa's son Shuka went to Mithila to see for himself if Janaka was really enlightened. He asked Janaka several questions to test him, one of which is the following. Shuka says, Maharaj, as a king you have Vitteshana, meaning the desire of wealth, Rajya Shukheshana, meaning the desire of happiness and welfare of people, and Sangrama Jayeshana, meaning the desire of winning war. As a king, you eat everything you desire. How could you be Jivan Mukta if you have all of these desires? You have to always be worried about wealth, welfare, and your enemies. Janaka then says, Viprendra, even if you go into a forest for penance, you still have to be worried about your food and protection from the wildlife in the forest. These worries are always there, but I know that I am not bound by these. I know that my kingdom, my luxuries, my wealth, or even my body is not mine, and this is why I am a Jivan Mukta. This proves that being enlightened doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world and running from your duties. Story number 2. Once the sage Narada goes to Vaikuntha to see Lord Vishnu. But as soon as he enters, Ma Lakshmi vanishes from the sight. Narada, surprised by this act, asks Lord Vishnu why Ma Lakshmi did this. Narada says, I am not a dhurta, meaning I am not a cunning or a swindler. I am Jitakama, Jitakrodha, and Jitamaya Guna, meaning I am one who defeated lust, anger, and Maya. Why did she leave upon seeing a person as pure and pious as me? Lord Vishnu then smiles and says, You say that you have defeated Kama, Krodha, and Maya. Even your father Brahma, me, or Shiva cannot claim such things. What are you before them? As long as you have a body that is Trigunatmaka or having the qualities of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, be it God or a human, you cannot beat Maya as long as you're in that form. Narada, shocked at these words uttered by Srihari, says that he wants to see the Mahamaya that he's talking about for himself. Srihari then smiles and says, Okay, I'll show you, but you might have to endure some sorrows in doing so. Narada says okay, and they both set off on Garuda to somewhere. On the way, they halt at a place where there are two beautiful lakes, and Srihari suggests that they take bath in one of those lakes and rest a while before they resume their travel. Narada agrees to it and takes a dip in the lake. And as soon as he comes out of the lake, he turns into a beautiful maiden. His veena and clothes were gone. Srihari ran away with them. His memory of being the sage Narada is gone. He is suddenly just a beautiful maiden who has no idea who she is or how she got there. Then, a king called Taladwaja comes to that lake, sees this beautiful maiden, and they both get super attracted to each other. They get married, have about 20 kids, get the kids married, start taking care of the grandkids, and Narada leads a totally householder life as a woman, not knowing who he was or how he got into that situation. After 100 years passing this way, the king Taladwaja and his sons get into a war. and the sons died during the war. Looking at this, Narada, as their mother, goes to the war ground and starts wailing and weeping bitterly and cursing the other enemy king. Then, Lord Vishnu comes to her in the form of an old Brahmin and consoles her. He takes her to the other lake and asks her to take a dip in it and perform the rites that would bring peace to her fallen sons. Narada does so, and as soon as he takes a dip into that lake, he reverts back to his original form, and now all his previous memories are back. He still retained the memories he had as the queen of Taradvaja. He then sees Sri Hari smiling at him and says, "Oh, you have tricked me beautifully." Thus is the nature of Maya. So even if you are an enlightened being, if you have a body or a form, you are still bound by Maya. So if someone says they are not affected by emotions, as they are quote-unquote enlightened, run the other way, because that is not how enlightenment works. It is only after death of the body that the enlightened beings attain the ultimate liberation. This is known as Paramukti.